Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Well, good evening, everybody. Hey, it's Cutler here in the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast. It's already the 10th of February, and the month is moving, and so are we. The weather where I am is really, really nice today. So it's been great weather. What about where you are? Just tell me what the weather's like where you are today. While you're checking in and jumping in the chat room, let me just say this to you. If this is your first time, if you're just stopping by, coming by for the first time, this channel is all about motivation. It's about inspiration. It's about hope. It's about evaluating ourselves to see what we can do to show up a little bit better tomorrow than we did today. Doesn't mean that today was a flop. Doesn't mean that today was all bad, but it means that we're just pausing for just a moment. We're exhaling for just a moment. We're taking the time to step back and see, what can I do tomorrow that will cause me to show up just a little bit better than I did today? So that's what we're going to do. So I'm telling you, pause, just hit your brakes, give me 1,800 seconds. I promise it's 1,800 seconds. And we're gonna make some sense out of some things tonight, because we're going to talk about balancing and filtering and what that means to make sure that we are not overwhelmed, what that means to make sure that we gird ourselves so that we can handle those most intense moments of life. Again, if you haven't done so, please go ahead and subscribe. What are you waiting for? Go ahead and subscribe, and then click on the notification bell, because it lets you know whenever I've gone live. It lets you know whenever I've uploaded new content. And you all know I call us the virtual book club. I call us the fellow passengers, because we're riding along the highway. We're going somewhere, and we're going to a place that's called better. We're finding our niche, and we're carving out and creating this space. We're creating our way to get there, because I promise you this, the place is already there. Better is already there. It's waiting for us. When we acknowledge, and I'm going to slow down just a moment, but I'm on a roll. When we can acknowledge that there really is a space and a place that's called better, that is set just for us, that is arranged just for us, that is marked just for us. When we realize that that space does exist, guess what? That space will beckon us. That space will call us, and it is up to us to align ourselves with the method of getting there. So that's all we do these Tuesdays and Thursdays. We are just aligning ourselves with how to get to that space, that place called better. And that is the place that's calling us. And we call ourselves the fellow passengers. We call ourselves a community of winners. And so that's what we do. And you all know I like to shout out the LTTC VIPs every Tuesday and every Thursday. And they tend to be the people who jump into the chat and start chatting first. And so I want to acknowledge them, as I want to say thank you all. Those of you who have been with me for quite a while, thank you so very much. And those, the newcomers who are coming along, thank you all as well, because we are all one big community, and we are finding that place that's called better, and we do it day by day by day. I want to shout out the LTTC VIPs, the Let's Talk to Cutler very important persons. That's not to say that the rest of you aren't important. It means that they just won the race. They just hopped in the chat room first. All right. And let's shout them out. Let's see who they are. It looks like they are this evening. T. Cutler, who says, happy Thursday, everyone. By the way, I told you all, the weather is beautiful where I am. I'm just wondering what it's like where you all are, because I think Saturday where I am, the weather's going to get to 60. And then Sunday, it's going to plummet back down into the 30s. So I'm enjoying this while I can. All right, let's see another LTTC VIP. It's K Sharp. K Sharp says, good evening. The weather was nice in Texas today. Shout out to Texas. K Sharp there in Texas. And then let's see. Yes. The next LTTC VIP is Fabulous Me. Fabulous Me says, hey, twice in 1 week. Lucky me. Well, you know what? No, not lucky you. Lucky me, because I get to have the benefit of you participating in this conversation twice in 1 week. So thank you, my friend. Thank you for joining, hopping in the chat again. You all, we have been talking about this whole thing of, I'm not sure, Jet Sheely, if this is your very first time, thank you so very much for jumping in. So you all make sure that you say a hi and a special welcome to Jet, because we're always thankful whenever our caravan gets a little larger, because we're here about motivation, up. Up, I was gonna say uploading. It's not uploading. But it's about inspiring. In fact, we're reading from this book, When I Am Overwhelmed: How to Handle Life at Its Most Intense Moments. This is my sixth book, and we're using it as the basis. I don't know what happened to the lighting, but we're using it as the basis of our conversation, because we're looking at how do we handle those intense moments. We've identified some of them, and so now it is about how do we handle those. How do we handle those moments that want to drain our energy? How do we handle those moments that want to consume us? How do we handle those moments that want to destroy us? How do we handle those moments that don't want us to come out victoriously? How do we handle those moments that don't want us to come out recognizing that we are destined for success? How do we handle those moments that want to detour us from our purpose in life? So we're talking about those. We're talking about those in a very real way. We say, listen, first thing, give your emotions a voice. Scream if you need to. Scream if you have to. Scream if you want to. All right. So we've been talking about all of those things. And of course, the last time we were here Tuesday, we walked through some of those recaps and reviews. So if you haven't had a chance to, make sure that you go back and look at the past few broadcasts. But I'm going to bring us up to speed tonight, because I want to talk from chapter 6. Chapter 6 says that we have to balance the ins and the outs of our lives. Balance the ins and the out of your life. That's why our conversation tonight is about balancing and filtering. How do we do that? Let me just read for the first time. Yes, Jet says it's Jet's first time. So you all make sure that you do a special shout out to our fellow new passenger Jet. All right, you all. So I want to go to chapter 6 and read chapter 6 for just a moment. And I'll infuse it with what I was thinking when I wrote that. All right, let me share with you. It has been said that for every action, by the way, if you want this book, it's available over on Amazon.com. Just go to Amazon and look for Gregory Brad Cutler. Cutler, you just talk about uploading and Gregory Brad Cutler. Just look for Gregory Brad Cutler over on Amazon, and you'll find 6 of my 7 books are there. All right. But I want to read from chapter 6, because I recognize, you all, that we are dealing with so many things. I was speaking with a friend earlier today who's having some issues. I don't know if they're issues with neuropathy, but I know that it's an issue with nerve damage. And if you've never had nerve damage, count your blessings and be thankful, because nerve damage, when it comes to muscle and bone, sometimes you can take pain pills and that alleviates. But that nerve damage, nerve aches is something. And she's been in excruciating pain, so she's certainly in my thoughts and my prayers. But I'm telling y'all, people are overwhelmed with so many things every day, and we're just talking very practically. How do we handle these intense moments? All right. And it's not that we cause them ourselves. So our platform is not, how do I handle those intense moments that I caused? How do I handle those moments of failure that I set for myself? No, we're not even talking about that. We're just talking about intense moments that life will bring, intense moments that come about because we are walking and talking and breathing and blood is flowing through our veins, right? So how do we handle these moments that seem to come with this thing that's called living, all right? That's what I'm talking about. So then let's go to chapter 6 that talks about balance the ins and the outs of your life. It has been said that for every action, there is an equal opposite reaction. For every cause, there is an effect. And whenever there is input, the inevitable result is output. The dynamics of life are such that one thing can very easily become the catalyst for another. Life is filled with chain reactions and domino effects. One single solitary event, situation, or scenario has the potential to cause life to move at what seems like the speed of light. Let me pause there. Have you all ever had a situation? Have you ever been in one of those moments, having a circumstance where all of a sudden one thing changed the way your life was moving, and all of a sudden it seemed like you were caught in a downward spiral, or you were caught in a whirlwind, or you were caught in something that felt like a tornado because of one thing One thing can set something in motion that causes you to feel like you're moving at the speed of light. And sometimes you just want to say, slow down, I want to get off the ride. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those kinds of things like be it death or divorce or losing a job or financial situations or relationship situations or business situations or health situations, all those sorts of things. Sometimes they happen because many of us know that it's not just one. Sometimes when it rains, it pours. And so you're caught in this tumultuous storm of life. And it causes you to move and feel like you're moving so fast until you just want to yell, stop, I want to get off the ride. Right? That happens so very often. Good to see you, my friend, Auntie. Good to see you. And life can take you like that until you want to say, slam on the brakes. I want to get off the ride. Has anybody ever felt like that other than me? And it happened from just one situation. So then, thank you, Tracy. I see your comment. I'm definitely going to follow up with that. So it could be one situation that causes you to feel like you're on this roller coaster and you want to get off, but you know it's not safe to jump out. One single solitary situation. We're talking about one thing that can cause life to just speed up. And some events, though small in origin, are magnificent enough to establish the entire trajectory of your life. One single thing. It's almost like stepping. It's almost like stepping in the country I grew up. We had sand spurs. It's like stepping on something as small as a sand spur, and that one sand spur can upset your whole day. Anybody ever stepped on a sand spur? I grew up and we walked bare feet. So yes, I stepped on sand spurs. And if you haven't, maybe at the beach. All right. So the beach. But I'm telling you, one thing can offset your whole day. One thing can upset your whole week. All right. But on the other hand, an isolated occurrence can cause your life to remain in a state of perpetual inertia. It's what I call going nowhere very quickly. And we have to learn how to handle those situations, because one of the things that I have discovered is that how you handle this moment, how you handle each moment in your life, this very moment could very well have an impact on the rest of your life. One of the things that I talk to young people about is how do you handle the moment? What kind of rationale are you given when you have these moments? Are you thinking about what you're doing? Because how you handle this particular moment could very well determine what the rest of your life looks like. And so we have to teach our young folk and our older folk, and sometimes ourselves, we have to teach ourselves to be good stewards over the moments. We have to be good stewards over the moments. So things can affect what happens in our lives, and we're going to get somewhere, because I have to be very transparent about something with you all in just a moment. I promise you I will. You all hang on, because I need your help with something. I'm going to need your help. So I go on to write, therefore we have to be ever so careful about what and who we allow in our lives. You all know I'm going somewhere with that. We've got to be careful about what and who we allow in our lives. We have to be good stewards of the one life. We have to be good stewards of the one life that we've been given. It is our responsibility to safeguard the ear gates and the eye gates of our heart, our soul, and our mind. We are sometimes responsible for what we let in, and we're responsible for who we let in. So I write, we must take every precaution. Here's why I'm talking about balancing and filtering. We have to take every precaution to filter the things that we admit into our lives. And then when we recognize that the input of our lives have been infiltrated by things that and people who mean us no good, you all know where I'm going with this. Hold on to your seats. When you realize that something or someone has infiltrated your life, and that something or someone does not mean you any good, you have to take swift action to do what I call three things: identify, evict, and extricate. Identify, evict, and extricate. Why would I say that? Identify whatever means you no good. We took people inventory. We took people inventory a few weeks ago, a few episodes, a few broadcasts ago. We took people inventory because it was a matter of us identifying the people who meant us no good. So we were able to hold on and polish off and be thankful for those who were in our lives who added to and enhanced. Good to see you, Annie Cutler. Yeah, you finally made it, but listen, you're always here. Glad that you're here. All right. So we took the time to identify what means and what meant us no good. We know that there are some people in our lives who, and I'm not going to stay on it tonight, you all, but we know that there are some people in our lives who mean us no good, but for some reason we allow them to hang on and to camp out and just to stay there. But we talked about having the power, deputizing ourselves so that we were strong enough to show them the way out. So we talked about identifying. And it means that sometimes you just got to come to grips with the fact that there are some presence, Presence. There are some people and things that have presence in your life that are corrosive like battery acid. Just realize it. If every time you turn around, thank you so much, Tracy. Every time, sometimes you've got to put the mess to the side. You know it means you no good. So then, after you identify it, and sometimes, it takes a while. We have to step back and it takes us a little moment to do inventory of people and things and situations and circumstances. Some that we brought on ourselves, some that we just allowed, and some that other people, they just infiltrated, they trespassed. Identify all of that stuff, all those people who mean you no good. We're talking about how to handle life at its most intense moments. We're talking about how not to become overwhelmed. Identify what's in your life that means you no good. I know you've been trekking along for a while with me, but guess what? You mean me no good. You're sucking up my energy. Identify it. And then after you identify, I talk about making sure that you evict. Take every reasonable measure to evict. Because you have the power to create the space where you live. You have the power to determine what peace feels like for you. You have the power to forge your path to that space that's called better. You have the power to tune your ear to the better that's calling you and march in that direction. Because I go into write, if there's toxicity and negativity in your space, you have the authority and the ability to extricate yourself from the bondage of that which means you no good. Sometimes, you all, it is about freeing yourself from the bondage that means you no good. That's what extricate is all about. It's a fancy word, but it means to free yourself. And you have the power and the authority to free yourself from the bondage of people and things and situations that mean you no good. I know sometimes easier said than done, but that is why we come together every Tuesday and every Thursday to encourage each other. And I usually come with some offering from my soul. And I offer my offering tonight. If I could get to us, it would be a basket. I would circulate a basket that contains the power to identify, evict, and extricate. Let me just put this right here, because Tracy, you're reading my mind tonight. Take back your power to free yourself. You know what I tell people sometimes? People who think that they have power over me, you all, I just have to share this with you. You know what I sometimes tell people? I say to them, I am so sorry. I'm sorry that I led you to believe that you thought you had that much control over me. Because the truth of the matter is you don't. You have to tell people, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry you thought you had that much control over me. You're not even in my relationship. I'm sorry that you thought you had the power to influence what happens over here. I'm sorry that somehow I allowed you to think that you could manipulate and exploit and somehow control what was going on over here. I let you think that. You've got to tell people, you all. Fabulous me, my friend. Make sure you tell your husband, my friend, I said hi, all right? But don't let people have the power over you. You know, husband and wife, it takes enough for you to run your own household. And then there are people who want to have a say-so in what goes on in your house. Tell them, listen, dude, I'm sorry I led you to believe that you had power and influence over here, because you don't. All right, let me keep reading. Let me keep going, because you all know I only have 1,800 seconds. But life, as I wrote, I'm going back to the book. Life is a balancing act. Life is about being able to balance and filter. Balance what's going on in your life, and then filter what you allow to come in your life. We must learn to balance the good that we need and deserve against the bad that we sometimes want. We have to learn how to balance the good that we need and deserve. Here's the good that we need and deserve. We have to balance that against the bad that we sometimes want, because if the truth be told, sometimes wants and needs are fighting each other. And sometimes they're not necessarily mutually exclusive. They can go hand in hand, but when they fight each other, we have to learn how to balance the good that we need and deserve against sometimes the bad that we want. All the while we do that, knowing that it's the only purpose of the bad that comes into our lives. May I tell you the purpose of the bad things, the bad situations, the bad people? The bad personalities that come with the people. So if I may, please allow me to retract that statement by saying bad people, but people who have bad influences and bad energies. Sometimes the only thing that they bring that comes with them, we know they offer things that lead to our shame, our defeat, and our demise. Negativity wants to destroy you. Negativity wants to consume you. Negativity wants to overwhelm you. And that is why we're talking about how to handle those moments, you all. How many times have we allowed, and I'm trying to go back to the book because somebody said, Cutler, one of the things that we want you to do, you're the author. We want to hear from you. So I'm trying to stick to the book and read, because I want you all to hear my heart, what was behind the writings. I wrote, how many times have we allowed things and people into our lives that we knew would bring us to tears? That we knew would bring us tears and pain and heartache and sorrow. How many times have we allowed people that we knew would bring that? How many times have we known the good that we should have done for ourselves, yet we fell victim to the temptation and the deceit that lay in wait, ready to pounce on and attack us and devour us at our most vulnerable and defenseless moments? And then we will sit back and we ask ourselves this rhetorical question. And we're going to defeat this question tonight, because sometimes we allowed things to happen. And then we would say, why didn't I? And that why didn't I, as I noted in the book, is sometimes followed with things like, why didn't I stop it before it got started? Why didn't I cut it off at the root? Why didn't I just say no in the beginning? Why didn't I pay attention to the warning signs? Why didn't I keep it out of my life in the first place? Why didn't I listen to the wisdom of ages and the elders? Why didn't I heed the advice of that small voice within? Why didn't I block it and never let it in? Has anybody other than me ever asked those why didn't I questions? And we go through the whole woulda, coulda, shoulda, and we start beating ourselves up. But may I offer us a bandage tonight. May I offer us some soothing salve and balm, BALM. Why didn't I becomes futile? It becomes a futile issue and a moot point when we are looking over a situation retrospectively with 2020 vision. You all stop beating yourself up, saying, why didn't I? When you're looking back at something that already happened, it's a moot point to say, why didn't I? I offer us the power of self-release tonight, That is one of my offerings as well. The power of self-release. Release yourself and relieve yourself of the bondage and the condemnation that we sometimes walk in for saying, why didn't I? I should have, I could have, I would have. Well, may I offer you another question? Because the more poignant question, as I wrote in the book, is not why didn't I? But it's self-examination that says, how could I have how could I have prevented it in the first place? Yes, that's a good question, but don't stay there. Go on immediately to the next part of the question that says, and how can I position myself? How can I position myself in the future so that I don't fall prey to this kind of vice again? Right? Don't get stuck on why didn't I? But that's what we do these Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's okay. How could I have done that? But the more important part of the question is that how can I now position myself in the future so that I don't fall prey to this kind of vice again? I wrote another book some time ago and I was trying to find it. It is called We Don't Always Get It Right the First Time. And I think I may pause here for the evening, because stop beating yourself up for what you didn't do and pause in the moment and say, how can I posture myself? How can I learn that lesson? Because it is true. We don't always get it right the first time. May I share with you, and here's why I need your help. May I share with you all from a moment of transparency that there are some things that I didn't always get right the first time. With these next few seconds, can I tell you what some of them are? I didn't get forgiveness right the first time. I didn't get forgiveness right the first time. And I mean, never mind trying to forgive myself. I honestly didn't get forgiving other people. I didn't get that right the first time because let me tell you what happened in my case. Sometimes I wasn't fully able to forgive. You know why? Because I was deceitful to myself. I acted like everything was all right. And so, talking about being honest, trying not to become overwhelmed, I acted like everything was all right. And what was really going on is that I didn't want to acknowledge the scars or the damage or the injury that had been done to me. And so I was acting like everything was all right. And so I didn't find myself in a space of forgiving people who hurt me, forgiving people who did wrong by me. I wasn't able to forgive because I didn't want to acknowledge my pain. I didn't want to acknowledge my injury. I didn't want to acknowledge that I had been scarred. I didn't want to acknowledge that I was a human who had been hurt. So sometimes forgiveness will come after you acknowledge your pain, after you acknowledge your scars. You all remember the very first chapter is give your emotions a voice, and you won't be able to forgive others and move on until you can acknowledge the damage that has been done, because you won't be able to start healing yourself. So what I offer us tonight, just acknowledge that when people messed up, it hurt. So don't act like everything is all right. So you can say to them and yourself, what you did is not okay, but I'm making myself okay now because I'm acknowledging the scars. And can I tell you all, when I really knew that I had forgiven people, I knew I had forgiven people when I was able to pray for them without crying about it. I knew that I had forgiven them when I was able to pray for them without crying about it. That is when you walk in a space of forgiveness. And may I share with you that forgiveness is more about you and less about them. Forgiveness, it's more about you and less about them. And when you can wish them well, or when you can pray for them without crying about it, welcome to a space of forgiveness. Welcome to a space of wholeness. Welcome to a space of better. And that is why you take the power back that they tried to hold and harness over you. One more thing, and then I got to go, you all. Another thing that I didn't get right. I'm talking, and I'm just sharing this with you. So maybe we're in this community together, you all. There's something else that I didn't get right the first time, and I would look back and I would condemn myself and hold myself. One of the things that I didn't get right was self-love. Really, Cutler? You mean the way that you come up here and share with us these Tuesdays and Thursdays? Yes, absolutely, y'all. I'm being very transparent. One of the things that I didn't get right was learning how to love myself. Why is that? Because I've lived long enough to understand that we sometimes measure our worth based on what other people think about us and how they treat us. We sometimes measure our worth based on what other people think about us and how they treat us. And what I had to learn was that people will try to cheapen you. They will try to cheapen you based on how they see themselves. They'll try to cheapen you based on how they see themselves. Well, she thinks she's smart. She thinks she's talented. She thinks she's creative. He thinks he's smart. She thinks she's cute. They think they know more than anybody else. Because they are comparing themselves to you. And they'll try to cheapen you based on how they see themselves. And if they can cheapen you in your own eyes, you'll start acting cheap. And I don't mean that as an insult to anybody. I just mean it as a moment of revelation, you all, because that is what I had to go through. If people, if they can cheapen you in your own eyes, you will start acting cheap. And you'll let people use you. You'll let people abuse you. You'll let people manipulate you. You'll let people exploit you. But we kill all of that at the root tonight. Because as a community, we're learning and we have learned to love ourselves. And we've learned not to see ourselves based on how other people see us. But we've learned to see ourselves based on how the Creator sees us. We've learned to see ourselves based on how our destiny sees us. We've learned to see ourselves based on how our purpose sees us. We've learned to see ourselves based on looking inside, standing in front of a mirror and acknowledging that there's something inside of me that's going to get me through every moment that I have to go through. There is value inside of me. There's worth inside of me. And the work that is inside of me has nothing to do with what anybody else thinks about me. So you all, when we see what's inside, then that balancing and that filtering, when you see the value that's inside, you say to yourself, I'm not going to allow anything to come in and lessen or cheapen my value. That's why we're talking about filtering. That's why we're talking about balancing the ins and the outs of our lives. And yes, we'll move on the next time we chat, the next time we talk, and we'll move on within this chapter. But I wanted to pause here and make sure that when something happens, don't look back with that "why didn't I" and find yourself beating yourself up. No, don't do that. That's not what we're here for. We are here to empower ourselves to show up a little better tomorrow than we did today. You all, we're going to keep reading the next time we get together. I'm here every Tuesday and every Thursday. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful whenever you all show up, because I'm strengthened by the comments. I'm strengthened by the chat. So do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and do a thumbs up on the conversation. Again, I'm so thankful for all of you. Jet, my friend, welcome to the ride as a part of our caravan. You all make sure that you run out and tell other people, come on and let's talk to Cutler. But do me a favor, let's keep building community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Let's keep our heads up and let's keep our hope up. Hope in knowing. Have hope is an expectation. Expect and see yourself in a place that's called better and excellent and victorious and success. All right. So keep your heads up, but also keep your hopes up. You all stay safe, stay sane. know this, that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be so much love. Good night, everybody. I'll see you all next time.